You ever feel that this game is rigged? On one hand, you can struggle with honor. On the other, you can win. Welcome to reality. These are the top 10 most broken guns in COD Mobile. And we'll be ranking each weapon in its own respective category. And as the video goes on, they will keep getting more and more aggressive. Let's get started. Starting the video off with the snipers. These are the long distance relationship experts, keeping things interesting from afar, one shot at a time, and great weapons for snipe and destroy. And first off, we have none other than the MK2. It's a very powerful sniper and it's like an annihilator, just not as fast. And it's got a very low zoom, so it's pretty easy to hit your shots in CQC, making it a pretty powerful pick. But what if you wanted something a bit more suave, something that could challenge ranges a lot further than the MK2 and easier? For that, we have the Tundra. With sniper scope has more zoom, the targets appear bigger and therefore easier to shoot. And it's the sniper that power crept every other sniper. It's also getting a mythic, so who knows, maybe they'll buff it further. Up next, we have the semi-autos, and in at first place in tier 1, we have the SPS. Now, this sniper doesn't really have a lot of reasons to use it over the Type 63, because the Type 63 overshadows it in pretty much every single stat, but it does have two key advantages. First off, it has no bullet velocity, and some players do prefer not to have it on their weapon. Second, it does have slightly better hitboxes in some build variations, so it's a little more forgiving if you do end up hitting legs. Next up, we have the GOAT of the semi-autos, the Type 63. It can sprint as fast as Flex ARs. It can kill as fast as an Odin. So you will ask, what are the downsides? First off, it has bullet velocity, and it's a bit slow. Second, if you happen to have a foot fetish, you will die to a USS-9 over and over because the 3-shot time to kill isn't exactly fast. Now, as we know, the semi-autos aren't exactly the most forgiving weapons for missing, so now we have the passive weapons which are fully automatic. Kicking things off, we have none other than the PKM. The PKM is the weaponized embodiment of slow and steady wins the race, if the race involves mowing down anything in your path. Now I'll begin with the cons of this weapon because there's only one real major con, the handling speed. It's pretty slow, slower than even some snipers. But other than that, it's really powerful. Its time to kill is so fast in CQC, it can kill a USS-9. Its hit flinch, really good too. The BSA, amazing, though it also reloads slightly on the slower end for LMGs. Next up, we have the KN-44. The KN-44 is the reliable old car. Nothing fancy, but it gets the job done, even if it occasionally backfires. If you spray the weapon for too long, it's a pretty consistent AR, but you will have to be mindful of one little thing. One mistake that most players make with the weapon is that they get a little too aggressive with it. It's after all a passive AR, and if you are too close to your enemy, you might not be able to 3-shot because it's harder to be more accurate, get the hitboxes you need, and you will end up dying. But other than that, I think the gameplay can speak for itself here. Finally, we have the MG42. This gun is like what if the Fennec decided to be an LMG, because it shoots just as fast. And for the LMG category, it's one of the faster moving LMGs too. It's got great hipfire, it pretty much has no recoil and no flinch, and that makes it a pretty powerful pick. The only con tends to be you do have to mind your reload, as LMGs do tend to have slower reloads, and the sprint to fire time is pretty bad too. Now we'll have the dishonorable mentions, and to kick things off, it's none other than the Jak-12 Dragon's Breath. The Jak-12 DB is the pyromaniac's dream, turning gunfights into impromptu BBQs since its inception. If you've ever wondered what it would be like if the R9 was fully automatic, this gun is it. It can kill insanely far away, it can melt hardpoints, and it can make your in-game chat very toxic. It's a pretty powerful gun, and you've probably used it, so not much needs to be said here. To end this category, we have the Man of War Thermite. Using the Man of War Thermite is like bringing a flamethrower to a snowball fight. Effective, but people will talk. Personally, I only use this weapon to get people off of nuke streaks because I'm not toxic enough to use it for no reason at all, but yes, it's a very powerful weapon and you should pair it with Dauntless in case your enemy uses it too, so he cannot counter you. Next up, we have the flex weapons, the weapons that are like kind of good at everything, you know, the jack of all trades. And we'll start off with two honorable mentions. The first one is the Type 19, the real jack of all trades. This gun does everything and it's pretty consistent, so it's a great pick. Next, we have the DRH. It's still a pretty powerful weapon, but it's completely overshadowed by another gun, which will come later in this video. Although you probably see it in every single match already. Now, kicking things off in the main list, we have none other than the BP-50. Even regardless of the nerfs, yep, this gun is still in the main list. It's still pretty powerful because it moves insanely fast, like an SMG almost. It's very forgiving and it spares bullets like it's trying to water the lawn. Just hold down the trigger and let Jesus take the wheel. Yep, this gun is still good, regardless of what some other people might say. Now we have a new addition to the main flex weapon list this season, the XM4. It's like the Type 19's more aggressive cousin, with better 4-shot consistency in the second range. It's way faster too. The range performance is a bit worse afterwards, but in a meta that favors more aggressive styles, it's a better pick for most people, and this reflects, as Chinese pros do tend to use the XM4 nowadays. Now in the trio of the most powerful flex weapons, we have the old veteran, the Odin. Shooting slower than a PowerPoint presentation on a bad connection, but when it lands a shot, instant career-ending energy. As it's a flex, it's got pretty good movement speed unless you run a slower build variation, and it's got pretty decent 2-tap range. The only downside is you have to be a little precise because you need lower arm shots, else the time to kill is pretty bad. It's also pretty unforgiving if you do miss shots, as the fire rate isn't the fastest, and the bullet velocity is on the slower end of things too. Now we have a gun so consistent it makes metronomes jealous, the HVK-30. It's the gun equivalent of that one friend who's always on time, even to virtual meetings. This gun has been really powerful ever since it got its large caliber magazine, and it can 3-shot kill in CQC and even 2-shot kill to the head. The only thing we can do is commend the fact that it's still stuck around here. Next up, we have the better DRH that I talked about, the USS Knight, the hyperactive SMG prodigy. In fact, it's so much better than the DRH, you can actually hit legs in the first range and still get a 3-shot kill. It's got the usual SMG perks, good mobility, good hipfire, good area speed, but its BSA is so good you can challenge ARs in their own range despite the slow bullet velocity. All in all, this gun is still around and they've not nerfed it yet, so you can keep using it. But what if flex weapons aren't your jam? You like running and gunning, you like spawn trapping your enemies, and you just like having the time of your life. For this, we have the aggressive weapons. And to kick things off, we have the classic, the Fennec. The Fennec fires so fast it makes hummingbirds look lazy. Blink and you've emptied the mag, and hopefully the enemy team. It's got one of the best hipfire stats for any SMG, and it's a comp-tested classic, you cannot go wrong with it. Though, after its first few ranges, the damage is pretty bad, and the flinch also does tend to suck, so you will have to be a bit careful with the ranges you challenge your enemies in. Next up, we'll have two shotguns, one of which being the KRM. It's a pretty classic shotgun, being used ever since the game released. It's got great mobility and great hipfire. In fact, the hipfire is so accurate, it annoys people, because sometimes it can one-tap as far away as 20 meters. But recently, this gun did receive a mag-sized nerf. The VLK Rogue, the next shotgun, is kind of like an upgrade to this. It's got even better potential, but you have to be a little more accurate as it shoots less pellets. So if you are a little imprecise, you will hit marker. Though the VLK Rogue also shoots almost twice as fast. You know what's better than one KRM or VLK? Two of them. Enter the R9. Yup, you heard it right, this shotgun can shoot twice. And if you've used the double pumps of Fortnite, it's pretty similar. And it has insane potential while ADSing. It can one-tap really far away. And even if you don't, you always have the second shot. The downsides are the lack of suppression, and you have to be careful of how you reload it. Because if you end up at an odd number in your magazine, it will only shoot once. And if that happens, you have to wait a while for your second shot. Finally, we have the best shotgun of all time, the CX-9 Burst. You'll say, wait lock, that's not even a shotgun, that's an SMG. And you'd be right. But get this, it kills so insanely fast, it feels practically instant. It shoots so fast, even though it's a burst, it feels like an automatic. It's one of the fastest moving SMGs in the game too. In fact, it's one of the fastest moving weapons in the game. The only issue of this weapon is the magazine capacity. You have to manage it really carefully. And even if you have skill issues and cannot use this in respawn, it's still very potent in search and destroy. We recommend that you use Vulture with this because it makes you like a juggernaut. Most weapons do not damage you to the point where you cannot get back full HP from Vulture anyway. Lock and load, going dark.